Welcome to this free mandolin lesson for advanced players on how to play the wonderful Irish jig, Banish Misfortune. It's a difficult one to say. This is a jig in 6/8, and I'm assuming you're a fairly advanced player, so we're not going to go through the melody bit by bit, but hopefully the core melody will sound a bit like this. Once we've learnt that, we're going to look at adding some grace notes, some triplets, maybe a bit of position shifting, and again, that will hopefully sound a bit like this. Before we dive in and play the tune through, I just want to mention two things. Now, this is a jig in 6/8, so if this is the first time you come into 6/8, your right hand needs to be doing a down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up feel. So down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. So that means that the start of each group of three starts on a down, so you can get the kind of the feel. There is one minor exception, and it pains me to say this as someone who is so stringent on right-hand theory. There is one example of rhythm where I slightly sway from that. And I should mention that everything we talk about in this lesson is included in the PDF below, so please do download that so you can be looking at the music as I talk through it. So if we take the first bar of the B part, just that phrase. So it starts with a crotchet or an eighth note, a quarter note, and then the second note is a quaver or an eighth note. Now, if you were playing that exactly in the pattern down, up, down, down, up, the second up is missing, so the first note and the second note should be downs. Down, 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 up, down. Now that's fine, and you can play it that way, and that's the proper way of playing it. But on this one particular incidence, breathe in everyone, you're allowed to put a stray pick stroke in there as an up. So if you wanted to, and I do find this a bit easy when I see this particular rhythm, so a quarter note followed by an eighth note, or a crotchet followed by a quaver. Down, up. So the whole B part, the first line of the B part, could be played like that. And it will actually come in useful later on when we add some triplets, that little technique. So have a think about that. Just play through it in your own time. If you still would prefer to go down, 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 up, down, down, so really stick to the down, up, down, down, up rhythm, then go for it. But you are allowed to slightly break that wall. Also, in the C part, it's not the normal melody. So if you Google Banish Misfortune, there's hundreds of versions on thesession.org and various places like that. When I was doing the research for this lesson, I found a great video by Jerry O'Connor, which I have linked in the tab, where he plays the C part like this. So he essentially has the melody and then drone in the D string. I love that. I think it's really cool. So that's where I've got my C part version from. So if you try and compare this to other versions, it will sound slightly off. It'll still fit because we still have the same number of bars, still the same key. Just our melody is slightly different because I really like how it sounds on the mandolin. So that's everything I want to talk about. I think I'm going to assume you are a slightly advanced player, so you're okay sort of reading music, and I'm going to dive straight in and play the melody. I'm going to bring the bouzouki back in so you can hear how it would sound sort of with an Irish bouzouki back in. We're going to put the metronome on, and we're going to play it, you know, a medium tempo. About that speed. Okay? So we'll just play it once through. Don't forget all the repeats. And if it's too quick, you can use the cog down here. And then once we've done this, we'll start adding some trills. 3, 4. Right, hopefully you made it relatively unscathed to the end of that. Now we can start adding some ornamentations. So I'm going to do a slightly different thing in each section. In the A part, we're going to add some grace notes. B part will add some triplets. C part will do a position shift. So the A part, phrase 1, instead of that very first note just being a 2, we can start on the 3 or the G, then instantly pull off to the 2. So it's a down on the 3 and instantly pull off to the 2. And the quicker you can do it, the better it sounds. You don't want, because then you end up playing 4 notes. You want almost as though it's not there. And then I've done another one in the second bar. So 0, 3, 5, 5, 3. So it's a very quick pull off between the 5 and the 3. And you can do the opposite with hammer-ons. So anywhere where one note is higher than the next note, you can do a pull-off from the first note to the second. And anywhere where the next note is higher than the previous note, you can do a hammer-on. You can put as many as you want in. You can just go through the whole thing and put a grace note everywhere, or you can just, pick 1 or 2. It's completely up to you. I've also put a few little slides in, so in bar 3, instead of just playing the 4th fret of the F sharp, I've gone, which is the same thing. So I'm not putting a blues note in, I'm not going, I'm almost sliding up from the next diatonic note below, so the E, as quick as I can. So I'm not going, that's too on the nose for Irish music. So if I just play the whole A part and try and play along if you can. 2, 3, 4. So there's all the ornamentations added. And now the B part. So the B part rhythm, there's a lot of space there to add some triplets. Or I think people call them triplets, but I think when I actually tab them out, they're more like 2 very quick semiquavers and a quaver. Right. When I actually heard triplets played back from my software, they sounded too neat and tidy for how I want them to sound. So don't be too off put with the how it's tabbed. It's just 2 quick notes. Well, it's 3 quick notes. So this is where what we talked about earlier with that 3rd note of the bar being an upstroke instead of a down. If you kept that as a down, you'd end up with 3 downs. Down, up, down, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, 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 down. So there's some very quick downs in there. So if you can just, again, cheat the right hand technique a little bit. So down, up, down, up, down, down, So you get it. I've tabbed it out below. It's very hard to talk downs and ups at the same time as playing. So that's what we're going for. So slow it right down. And make sure you're getting those, at least be in control of the pick strokes. I think that's the most important thing. If you know that you're doing a straight up stroke, that's okay because you're in control of that. So that's the B part. And then finally the C part, I haven't changed a lot. We've still got... And then at this point, when it jumps to the G, I jump to the 5 and 7, and then I get this phrase. Instead of 4, 5, 0, 5, 4, 0, I go 11, 5, 0. I just really like how that sounds. You can almost make it sound like a harp. So that's the only change in the C part. You don't have to put that one in. That was just, it's just I like doing that with tunes where possible. Just make each note last as long as possible. So I guess the only thing left to do now is, first of all, just have a pause of the video, play through the tab in your own time, and sort of work out what you do and don't like about those, and then we'll just play the whole thing one more time at it's about 80 BPM, and I'll bring the bouzouki back in as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we have it. That's how you add ornamentations to an Irish tune. You've got a few different options. The main two are what we do in the A part and the B part. So those little grace notes, and then the little semi-quavers that sort of sound like triplets, but they're not. That was played at 80 BPM. I guess if you want further practice, just keep cranking up that metronome to upwards of 120. It's great fun. Grab a friend to play bouzouki. I've had to use myself on a split screen. Hope that worked for you. If you've enjoyed the video, please do hit subscribe and like the video while you're here. Head over to Mando to get all the other free lessons, and we'll see you next month.